Well, ladies and gentlemen, another week has come and gone, and it is officially week 2 of our new setup. Hopefully, all of you guys that checked the video out on YouTube or watched it elsewhere enjoyed this format and finally got a better look at what we look like. But needless to say, it's a massive week in Leafland. It went from being arguably the sky is falling, the world is ending, to rejoice, be glad. You found the golden ticket and you're going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, because boy, oh boy, was that the biggest silver lining or literally lottery win that the Leafs have ever needed, more so almost than 2016, believe it or not. At least that's what it feels like. Guys, how did you guys process the lottery win, or even like, let's just call it the last 72 hours of being a Leaf fan?
I mean, I'd say chaotic the last 72 hours. Not a lot of franchises go through the ups and downs more than Toronto. I think the last 3 years, I'd say, I think a lot of hardcore fans are losing their patience. And now with the season that we had and the injuries we've had, and Tanev being hurt, Benoit sucking, not being the same guy as he was, we panicked. And you know what? For the most part, Leaf Nation was structured fairly well. I don't think there were a lot of fans out there other than Biz Nasty that have walked away from the team. And, I got to give Hockey Illuminati credit too, because the amount of rituals this guy's done the last year and a half, and for that to still not work. But on the bright side, whatever you did yesterday, it worked, because we end up winning the lottery. We get the first pick. I don't think it's ever been more chaotic than the last 72 hours. Management is looking like they don't know what they're doing. I'll correct that. Keith Pelly has no idea what he's doing. John Chayka, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, became a GM when he was 26 years old. I don't remember what I was doing at 26, but I definitely wasn't a GM in the league, so he's got the smarts for it. He's got the experience, but chaotic.
Aulino, how's it been? What's your perspective been the last 72 hours in Leafland?
He perfectly summed that up, chaotic. Like, it was like one of those things where we're looking at the downward spiral of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the crown jewel of MLSE, and then all of a sudden, maybe it's Matt Sundin being back in the fold, getting that Clapton clutch luck on his side. The Leafs win the lottery. I didn't even think they were going to win the lottery. As it
no
looked,
shot.
It was like, you need ball number 12. It's like, yeah, okay. It was nice while it lasted. And then they get Gavin McKenna. It's like, you know what? If it's rigged, it's good to be on this side of it for once.
It is good.
Like, I don't know, did they, like, MLSC, I know Rogers has like $11 billion committed over the next like 7 years or so with the hockey rights deal. Maybe Keith Pelly swung in to the NHL offices or invited Gary Bettman over, and he slid a nice envelope across the table. So give Gary a nice booster, and now it looks like the Leafs are going to get a nice franchise player.
Chaotic and dysfunction, I feel like, are the only two words that can properly describe it, because we're going to talk about the press conference, and we have to, because just when we thought Keith Pelly had his one and done debacle with a massive press conference, he had yet again another massive shortfall and a lot of verbal diarrhea, but also finally realizing and feeling the heat from the Toronto media in the right instances and aspects of trying to get the proper questions through to him, but also to Matt Sundin and John Chayka, so that the fan base, while also the hockey world, could have a better understanding and a better footing as to where the Toronto Maple Leafs stand. Now, I don't want to sound like a delusional Leaf fan, even though I probably will. It doesn't get any more Leafy than that. And I already saw today on Facebook Marketplace and even on Instagram, a bunch of people buying and ordering Gavin McKenna Leafs jerseys. guys,
quick trigger finger,
like very quick to it. Who knows if it'll even be number 72? But man, just when we thought we were going to have an idea as where this organization was going to be going with the hiring, which didn't really give any of us any faith to begin with, we end up winning the lottery, which, yeah, some people might say it makes Sundin's and Chayka's job a lot easier. I think it makes it actually a lot harder right now. I think we would have been better off if we got the 4th overall, 5th overall pick, still keeping our pick. Because then at least they know they can either go and draft Caden Veerhoff or get a Chase Reed to really address the defenseman position. But, I mean, look, not to complain about winning the draft lottery because that's not what we're trying to do here, but it's just being realistic as to now it's as if we're in another kind of a pickle and it's a good pickle to be in instead of a bad one. But what were your full takeaways from the press conference? Now, I know we said it's been chaotic the last 72 hours, but let's go back, unfortunately, to what was another abysmal press conference. And what were your actual thoughts, whether you saw the whole interview or whether you guys saw the clips or you were looking at Twitter or all the other amazing social media accounts that are true hardcore Leaf fans that, you know, we all follow, and they get to really give everyone a real temperature as to what the fan base is feeling. So let's go back in time. What were we thinking and what was the temperature like within our own tempers and passions about the Leafs?
Yeah, so if we're going back then, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the clock. I'm looking, okay, it's going to start soon. And then I'm remembering how the other press conferences went with TFC. And that was a complete debacle when they introduced Josh Sargent to the fold. Then I remembered how the end of the season press conference with the Leafs went. Another disaster. So I'm thinking going into it, I know I'm going to watch a train wreck. Let's see how bad it's going to go. They had Matt Sundin up there. It was completely awkward. They had Chayka there, completely awkward. Pelly not even really defending his guy, which was really weird, defending the hire when he was getting grilled by Simmons there. And then, yeah, he's like, yo, when Sundin, this young man, was playing for the team in 2002, he went to the conference final. What a way to rub that in the poor guy's face. So it was just the way he answered everything. He didn't really say what the vision was. I would have loved to have known what the vision was, why he hired him. He just kept on saying, yeah, we believed in the vision he was selling us on this rebuild or retool, and he didn't actually explain what it was. So it would have been nice if he did. And, yeah, it was horrible.
Didn't answer a question. I think I would, adding to your point, Aulino, I made fun of it yesterday. It's like asking Nick, what color's the sky? And then he starts rambling about the daisies in the grass. It's like, I didn't ask about the daisies in the grass. I asked about what color the sky is. So when the reporters ask, why John Chayka, and he just gets really defensive and just doesn't answer the question. Even John, you know what? John had a really uncomfortable, he was a part of a very uncomfortable situation, and he even admitted it. He's like, yeah, everybody knows what's happened. It's better. I'm better for it. But the way Keith Pelly was just, I wouldn't even say not answering. It was the way he was structuring the whole thing was just like, you have no idea what you're talking about. The fact that I think it was Gino Reda or the woman.
Oh, Rosie DeMano.
Rosie, she asked, who calls the final shot, and he openly admits that both of them still don't know what their roles are, or Matt Sundin did not know what his role was.
So
and it's like, dude,
that was bad.
You can't be looking at your partners in one of the biggest press conferences of going into next year. It's like if I introduced you as the GM, yet it's like, yeah, Aulino, did you know what your role was? It's like,
yeah, Matt Sundin just decided, I'm going to move my family from Sweden to Toronto, not knowing what the role is. But it's going to be fine, though. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was
very awkward, very tense, which, you know what? I'm happy that it was tense for Pelly because everybody in the Toronto market had it out for this guy after the last one, how bad it was. And now, and again, I gotta give Simmons credit. he's not well respected in the media, which it is his fault. A lot of stuff that he's done in the past is pretty harsh. He asked the right question in quite a direct and personal way, which again, as I've seen a lot of people discuss, if you get asked a question in a dick way, you can answer it in a dick way. But the way that Pelly was just so bothered by it, just literally he put his hand up. He's like, "No, John, I got it." It's like, Can you let the guy talk? This is his day. It's not your day. You had that a month ago, and that was an abject failure. So the fact that this guy's running 6 teams and he puts a press conference back to back like that, disaster. Absolute disaster.
I'm going to give all the credit to every single Toronto media member that was there. They were asking the right questions. Unfortunately, the guy that's clearly running the show at MLSE is too proud, has too big of an ego, and is insanely disconnected with what this fan base desires from the crown jewel within the city of sports, but also like in the NHL. And, whether it was Rosie DiMano's question about, I'm sorry not to, who is the senior president of Hockey Opera? Like, you haven't said who's who or who's going to be doing what. And, Keith Pelly, once again, Chris was listening back to it because he didn't really catch the whole thing. I was able to watch it yesterday afternoon in between, some emails and trying to be productive. And when I heard him try to explain that answer to her, I was like, this guy is literally so full of shit in how he thinks he can just BS his way into an answer, or just to be like, well, Mr. Matt Sundin didn't even, and John Chayka, when we were interviewing both of them, they were just interviewing them and telling us about their vision and how they wanted to go forward. They weren't talking about roles. They weren't talking about what they want to do on the day-to-day. They're just talking about the vision they have for this team. It's like, I'm sorry, Keith Pelly, you just told on yourself in 5 different ways on the biggest stage, once again, to the mainstays of Toronto sports media and also the most fickle fan base in sports besides maybe a couple other ones in other markets for other sports. Steve Simmons, I think, asked the right question. The way it was worded was unfortunately a little brash and a little personal, but you know what? Keith Pelly had that coming. And I'm glad he felt a little uncomfortable and he took that personally, because I think it's about time that he gave all the attention and respect that this market needs, not just for the Leafs, but for all the other sports, and to finally just butt out of it and leave it alone. Because it's nice that he acknowledged the Raptors at the beginning of the press conference.
No, it's not.
Well,
it's not.
I was gonna get there.
That's a negative start. Yeah, the Raptors, they're young, they're great, but they lost.
The thing with that is it's nice to acknowledge a season where they've technically overachieved and they weren't supposed to be there, and we're happy that they were there. Wrong place, wrong time. Right messaging, but the other two canceled it out. You're there to highlight the last decision that this guy will possibly make. This because, how everyone talks about general managers or coaches or hockey ops guys. They'll get hired, or, they only get 2 bullets in the chamber. I think Pelly used his 2 bullets. Sundin, Chayka, and with the 2 debacles of the 2 press conferences, I think that's all he's got. And I'm being that harsh because it doesn't matter how well TFC does. It doesn't matter how well the Raptors do. It doesn't matter how well the Argos do and all the other teams that he's running. It truly matters how well the Toronto Maple Leafs do. And yes, they're great stories when those other franchises are succeeding and winning championships and doing well, but they don't bring in nearly as much revenue as the Toronto Maple Leafs do on a seasonal basis. He screwed the pooch. And his honest saving grace, is the fact that they won the lottery. Going to John Chayka and how he handled himself, I mean, if there was a guy you would want to give a hug to in the middle of probably one of the second toughest days of his NHL professional career, besides, everything that happened in Arizona and Phoenix, I thought he handled himself very well, and I liked that he was willing to try to explain what happened as much as Pelly would let him, while also trying to look forward of turning the new leaf. And it's a little bizarre, because the most important franchise in hockey hires a guy that was doing shady shit and got kicked out of the league. But we could be having Doug Armstrong, we could be having all these other names, but that doesn't matter anymore because we got the two guys that are hired, and it's time to move forward and be happy. I just wish that when Matt's or John were asked questions, Keith Pelly let them talk and answer the fucking questions, because clearly Keith Pelly's showing everybody that he's not willing to let the reins go. As much as he's saying, I hired these two guys to make the decisions and we're putting in the right people for the process. Well, clearly you got no fucking idea, because you're telling the most respected guy in hockey, Gino Reda practically, that don't worry, Gino, he knows the guys. And you don't talk to Gino Reda that way. I don't care who you are. You could be Mr. Rogers. It doesn't fucking matter. The guy knows more about this market in hockey than Keith Pelly could possibly know about business. I don't care.
It's good to play dumb sometimes. And Rosie played dumb in the moment. Tried to get a nice, simple answer out of Keith Pelly, and
he rambled like a politician.
He fumbled pretty bad. The Gino question was also a very simple question. It was kind of condescending a bit because, again, he has been out of the league for a while. But it's an honest question. Do you know everyone in the league? The league has quite changed since you've last been the GM. And he just answered it so smug and arrogant. And it's dude, I know you're kind of tense today, but these guys are just doing their job and asking the right questions. I don't think there was a question that wasn't asked that was preposterous in the whole time. Every reporter knew their boundaries except Simmons, but the way he answered it, someone in the room had to do it, and he was the guy that did it. We know Mark Masters, Chris Johnson, those guys are very, very respected. Gino Reda, like you mentioned, they're not going to ask those questions. And the way that Gino asked that question about, this is me, I'm being dead honest with you. The league has gotten significantly younger as you've moved on in 2020. Do you know how it works now? And John, again, he answered it pretty well, saying, even though I haven't been in the NHL, I've been around the institution of hockey, so I do know the players. And then he said he'll try and bounce back. And that's the whole narrative here with John, is he's trying to bounce back from the shady scam artist, businessman, as Steve Simmons put it, narrative of him. And I think John can do it. I just think he's got to, I think it was Jay Rosehill or someone else said this on another episode the other day. This guy specifically cannot be micromanaged. Him and Matt Sundin cannot be micromanaged. You gave these two guys the keys. Let them have full reign of it, because Keith, like Nick just said, you fumbled 2 press conferences in a row. You can't answer a simple question. Even with Rosie's question, I saw what Steve said yesterday. All he had to say, as the big man, say, John, take care of that question. That's all he had to say. Or Matt's, please tell Rosie, what your role is. The fact that he was just blah, 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 verbal diarrhea the whole time. So it was a disappointment, but I got to say, I think the balance between Sundin obviously being cool as a cucumber, he's been the captain of the city. I love how he mentioned the guys that were sitting front row, Gilmore, Wendell, and Darcy. So that was great to see. But I got to give, like you said, I got to give John a lot of flowers. Yeah, I think there was a few questions he was stuttering a little bit, but he was put in a very tough situation. I think he handled it fairly well.
And this is the problem, too, with this, because Pelly, if you look at this press conference under this regime, And then you go look 10 years ago, 11 years ago when Tim Leiweke was in charge. And he hired Brendan Shanahan. Just the conviction that he had. He's like, I called Lou Lamoriello and he said, Brendan Shanahan is your guy. He's going to turn it around. And then everybody's like, you know what? This is the kind of guy we're going to run through a wall for. And then you look at everyone he hired. Masai, he came in. And even Masai in Dallas, what he said about Cooper Flagg and the whole situation there with Luka. All Keith Pelly had to do was say like a variation of that. Like, we believe in him. We're sold on what he offers to this team. This is the vision and his plan. We're going to do it. That's all he had to do. So simple. A handler could have told them like an hour before the press conference. They knew for like 4 days they were going to do it. So I think they fumbled. This is a generational type of fumble with the amount of press conferences he just let slide like this.
I think
he's too far in his head, I think.
I think that plays a part of it, like, for sure. The one thing that is kind of baffling to me is it seemed like it was the laziest hire that it could have possibly have been. And it's also like, it reminded me of the Dion Phaneuf trade. The worst kept secret known to man. It was like the first rumor or the second rumor that came out was, before they even got hired, was, well, the Toronto Maple Leafs are looking at Suni Mehta and John Chayka and possibly Matt Sundin. And then it changed a little bit to, well, the Leafs would like to talk to Doug Armstrong, but he's under contract. And then literally there were a couple other names like Mike Gillis. And then I saw
Breezeball rumor was crazy.
Breezeball was what, two
that's
days
never
ago.
Happening.
They'd purposely leak that, I think. That was.
That was. I laughed. I was like, that's not true.
So
no shot.
It's just one of those things where it's like, guys, everyone and their mother knew 2 weeks ago that you were hiring John Chayka and Matt Sundin in some capacity.
I could have told you that after the last press conference when he said, I want a guy that's analytical. Oh, well,
Dubas
there's a guy.
Off the board,
the Dubas is off. It's the other young guy.
I just, the one thing that I miss with kind of like the Brendan Shanahan era with Tim Leiweke, or even before it, was how brash and honest they were about whether they had a plan. Between Fergus and Brian Burke.
Oh.
But no, but like, you know what?
I love Brian Burke, man.
Even
though we stunk with him, like he was a definition of,
this is what we're going to do. This is what we're trying to do to fix it. Yes, we know we're not doing very good. We're trying to do what we can through the draft and via trading. But guys, buckle up. We're sorry, but this is like, I got you Phil Kessel. We got Bozak. We drafted Kadri. Like, and I traded for Dion, if he even did. I can't even remember. But like,
he did, yeah.
Like, how do you? The one thing for me, like going back to what I said, how it was like the worst kept secret since the Dion Phaneuf trade. If you're Keith Pelly, and this is arguably the most important thing that he will ever do for the Toronto Maple Leafs and for MLSC as a whole, you got to keep it fucking top secret, dude. Also, him hiring...
Yeah, like the injury report.
Yeah. Like, between that, this, and then the bullshit of hiring... Not for nothing. You don't have to hire an agency or a firm to go find you guys to work in the most coveted position in all of hockey as a general manager and hockey ops for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You shouldn't have to, unless you're the wrong guy that got hired because you solely just focus on the idea of running a business and the capital of a business. Then sure, yeah, that's important in sports. I'm not going to deny that. But with a franchise like this, that just sends the wrong signs. And the one thing I was thinking about leading up to everything with the hiring before the draft lottery was the Leafs aren't looking to spend more money. The Leafs are looking to stop spending money and cutting. So why else would Keith Pelly want to bring in a guy that's great with numbers and good with capital? Because he knows that Rogers is trying to ease spending across the MLSE board and then find new avenues of cutting departments, whether it's for the Leafs, the Raptors, or just across the MLSE board to streamline stuff so they don't have to keep paying all these salaries. And it's like, well, you could also do that by getting rid of some of your big stars. Like the rumor that apparently the Raptors are going to be looking to maybe move Brandon Ingram if they can find an upgrade. And it's like, oh, so you just want to offload all the money you possibly can so that you can get back in the black because you're so far in the negative. Like, how ass backwards were you running these franchises for all these years?
And it's perfect to have Chayka. He has experience being on the cap floor in Arizona, so right guy for the hire. That's a vision, I think.
Yeah.
You brought the vision of Arizona.
Oh, boy.
And, getting back to Keith Pelly's his very first with Shanahan, Tavares, and Austin Matthews.
That was awful.
That was another bad one. So he's had 3. We're not here to sell more jerseys. Well, on the positive, you lucky motherfuckers, you're going to be able to sell a fuck ton more of jerseys of whoever. I mean, it's probably going to be Gavin McKenna. I think we might trade the pick. But moving on to the positive of us winning the draft lottery, one thing that was so amazing, I don't know what you guys felt. Going on Instagram, going on Twitter, going on YouTube, any of the social media last night, and seeing the mainstays of Toronto Maple Leafs media accounts from fans going absolutely nuts and wild and showing the passion that we all share was truly beautiful after having to go through one of the most abysmal and disheartening seasons of being a Leaf fan in recent memory, besides a few others that we're not going to talk about. That was beautiful. So what were your thoughts, guys, on the insane amount of luck, or, like you said, Aulino, a boost that was handed under the table or found in his briefcase and it went a certain way?
Yeah, whoever that guy was with the controller, that console in his hand, pushing the button, I want him at the next Leaf game. The home opener, get him there with a number 12 jersey, custom made, whatever his last name is, put it on there. That guy did one. He's going down in Leaf history for just that kind of luck that we had. So
Put him beside Bowen.
yeah, put him up in that box up there.
Holy Mackinac.
It's like looking at all the accounts like you mentioned, and you see all their fan reaction videos in real time. I've never seen anybody get so happy with seeing the number 12. So the number 12, if I'm a player coming up and just gets my start with the Leafs, you have to go with number 12. Like everyone, you'll be beloved.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. Like I was saying before, we have one bad season and we get the first pick. I mean, there's teams out there that are just so shit. Vancouver is garbage.
Chicago.
Calgary went from 2nd to 6th, man. Like, that's detrimental. If you look at their team, their best player going into next year is probably Coronado or Zane Parekh.
Connor Zary.
Yeah, that's just not good enough. And the fact that now you're not even in the top 5 is terrible. But yeah, the Leafs got really lucky here. I think they finally have the ball back in their court. But again, John Chayka and Matt Sundin, their first level of business is going to be a very controversial one. Because this is a draft where, listen, we've been spoiled the last 4 years. You had 3 years. Bedard, Celebrini, Schaefer. Yeah. Like that's amazing. This is the draft where Gavin McKenna has been solidified as the number 1 guy since like a year and a half ago. Stenberg has a great World Juniors. McKenna also had a great World Juniors. I think he had like 15 points.
Not the best elimination.
Not the best elimination game. That's what I was going to get at. Him and Michael Misa were not good in that game. But Misa had a great last month of the NHL regular season. Matt Sundin is Swedish. No. Stenberg is Swedish. This could be either a big ego trip by Mats, which I don't think he will, but Leaf Nation, all the guys out there that are getting the McKenna jersey, I think I would save that just because of the position we're in. You could easily trade the pick. You can get better. You could trade down. You could still have a first-round pick and get a roster player. There's so many things that the Leafs can do. Nick was mentioning, I don't want to say a lot about, I don't like having the first pick because Vancouver fans would just kill me, but it's a tough and awkward stage for us to have the first pick. When we won it back in 2016, we full on deserved that. Like Matthews, we needed the first pick.
It was rough.
It was rough. Like, yeah, oh, we got Marner and Willie before. Dude, they were 18. They weren't even there. Like, they were not even a thought. This year, like, we still have Matthews. We still have Nyes. We got Cal. We got Willie. Willie just turned 30. Like, this team is not the worst in the league. Now you're getting a franchise-altering piece, regardless of who it is. I still think it is McKenna. You take the best available. It's been McKenna the last, 8 months. But would you really be surprised if we traded it? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't at all.
It's one of those things where Matt Sundin, he is Swedish, but he played his entire career in Canada. Quebec, Toronto, Vancouver. It would be... I think Matt's can, classify as a Canadian. Him and Willie. Willie's a Canadian too, so...
I'd give Matt's Canadian citizenship. I feel like that's a no-brainer. I think the tough thing here too, which we didn't talk about because it's as important as this is that we're not talking about it. Who's going to be the coach?
Oh,
right? And
that's another thing here.
So like the two variables that the media have been going a little crazy over the last 24 hours since winning the draft lottery is who's going to be the coach. If Berube's still going to be the coach, people are baffled how he survives that because Cassidy's a great example. He had a much better season and got fired for clearly a lot less than what Berube hasn't gotten fired for, and some of the other coaches in the league as well. The other thing that I think we all would love to know, not just John Chayka and Matt Sundin, but Leaf Nation as a whole, is where's Austin Matthews' head at? Like not to be we got Gavin McKenna possibly, but Austin, we had a bad year. You got hurt. We just won the draft lottery. How do you feel about that? Well, and like most guys, they want to win now. Don't blame them. You never know how long your career is going to be. But I think we need a better understanding. I wish Austin Matthews was a little bit more transparent with the organization.
Never has been. Like
a Quinn Hughes. Because we can get ahead of it. It doesn't have to be public. The organization can just move accordingly and take care of business. And then, us as the fan base, we can find out after the fact that he didn't want to be here. And then we could... Because that was another thing I said to Chris. I was like, if we win the draft lottery, do you trade the pick? And if you trade the pick... what kind of haul are you expecting if you pair it with someone? Like, let's say Morgan Riley in the first overall pick get dealt to San Jose or Vancouver, Calgary, wherever the hell you might want to send it. What kind of haul can we expect? Or we keep the pick. Austin Matthews tells us thanks, but no thanks. Perfect. Austin, we're going to send you to wherever we can, get the best deal for us. Enjoy your fresh start somewhere else. And then... we can build with that while also getting Gavin McKenna as well. So it's kind of like the variables are kind of endless, it feels like, at this moment in time. And as easy as it feels like they were given a golden ticket, John Chayka and Matt Sundin, it's still quite the puzzle that they have to put together and figure out. And they have some time, but the draft is around the corner. Free agency is around the corner. It feels like the playoffs are already almost done, even though we still got a ways to go. So it'll be here before we know it. And, what are your guys' thoughts on the idea of, say, Austin Matthews does want out, and if we do trade that first overall pick?
Yeah, it's tough. It's mixed on this because if Matthews sees the first overall pick now and McKenna is like, okay, I want him on my line and I'm staying. That's pretty enticing thing to have because McKenna with a Matthews, you can replace with Marner, hopefully, just that production. You can build him a lot faster because he's going to be surrounded with guys like Tavares, Nylander, and Matthews. And then you have Nyes there too. So does Nyes become more expendable? Do you pair him off with Riley if Riley doesn't want to waive and you can't really get a market for him? I think the only positive from this is that the Leafs went from having absolutely nothing to look forward to no options available on the table to now having 10,000 options to go in different directions. So I think this whole thing is a positive, winning the lottery, because if they had fifth, we'd probably be talking about trading Austin Matthews and maybe another lengthy rebuild after that.
Yeah, I think going back to the coaching thing too, Berube, I don't think he should be here anymore. I just think now, especially you're getting a top-end talent who has immense skill. This is not a guy that's going to be patient either. McKenna's been known to be the guy. You know, when you're known your whole life that you're exceptional, you're the number one guy, like, you're not waiting. You're not going to be, no, I'm not playing 10 minutes. No, you're going to play 16 minutes. You're going to get 55 points. You're going to be power play 2 to start. Then you're going to go to power play 1. Berube's not that coach. Now, before we won the lottery, I was kind of like 50-50. I'm like, yeah, maybe you give Berube another chance. Just a really shitty, no luck for him this year. But then we get a guy, possibly like a McKenna. If you're going to run the same shit back next year with a guy like McKenna, you're just wasting a year of his development, and that could tarnish like the next 8 years. So it's risky to kind of go with a Berube in this sense. You like we talk about, when you have a bad season and you let a GM go, it's better to just go full reset. It's easier. The players have a lot more to look forward to. We all knew that Willie, as much of a jokester as he is in the media, I think he's been done with Berube for the last, since at least February, because he dealt with that injury. They forced him back in, I think, too soon. Matthews, like you said, with transparency, I don't think you ever really know what he's thinking, but I think the way the season went, it's not for the better, I think, if Berube's back. So I'm going to say that Berube leaving puts his team in a better position, and it will also give the guy that's going first, probably McKenna, I think, a better go at understanding the narrative going into next year. Because if you get a guy like Bruce Cassidy comes in, he's a guy that can he's definitely a guy that brings intensity. He's known to have a way above 500 record in his coaching career. And he's a guy that can intimidate you. Like Berube, I feel like all he does is intimidate. He doesn't change things on the fly very well. And now kind of moving on from that situation to Matthews, I think Matthews has to stay now. I think there's just a situation here where he doesn't really have a lot to say at this point. He had the worst season of his career. He's coming off a really bad injury to Radko Gudas. And I hate to say it for the Leafs captain, but it's more in these situations, what have you done for me lately? You're 2 years away now from the 69 goals. You're 4 seasons away from the 60 goals. Like, this guy, I'm not saying he's washed or anything, but for him to just come out and say, yeah, I'm done, move me. It's like, dude, you have 2 years left and you're coming off your worst season. And we just have the first pick. Are you really sure you want to leave? So again, like I said before we kind of got into this, I'm really happy that the Leafs won the lottery because for once, like you said, Aulino, now we have a lot of different directions we can go in, but we finally have the ball in our court. We were thinking we weren't having this pick at all, and now we have the first pick. So brighter days ahead. Sucks to be a Bruin fan, for now. But I think, like I said, even if we were to be shit next year,
well, we don't have first round picks for the next 2 years.
So we don't have a first for the next couple of years. But let's say we're not doing well, by December. You could actually, in my opinion, you could comfortably pull the trigger now of trading Matthews because you have McKenna. You have a franchise-altering guy. Is McKenna going to win you a cup? I don't know. But he's a guy that has been compared to Patrick Kane. He's a high IQ player. Look at the high IQ players. They don't come around often. Like Celebrini, he thinks better than everyone. Look at what he's done. Sam Reinhart, when he got drafted, was one of the highest IQ players. It took him some time, but guess who he played for? Buffalo. He played for Buffalo when they had no idea what they were doing. He goes in the Sun. He finally gets a nice coach in Paul Maurice. becomes a 50-goal scorer.
It was a UV rays down there.
That's probably what it was.
That and the
and the
taxes.
nightclub and the no taxes. It's just great to be in Florida. But all I'm saying is we have McKenna. If we keep the pick, we have so many things we can do. If we get rid of the pick, we probably have a better odds of getting Connor McDavid. So,
Speaking of that, and,
I knew you were going to segue. That's why I said it.
sorry. Well, no, because, look, we put the poll out. I don't know how many people.
Also, what does this mean for Cowan?
No, you keep.
I know you keep him, but like now I feel like his top tier potential might not be met now.
No, I think he'll be fine. I think at this point we went from having nothing and just having solely like Cowan and Danford. It's like no, don't worry about it. We're gonna. I think what ultimately they should do is sure if McKenna does become a Toronto Maple Leaf, which we all think he is, barring some crazy trade that may or may not happen. I think you just let them play. Let them play it out, figure it out, because I also don't think it's a bad thing if Easton Cowan is a better version of a Darcy Tucker on this Toronto Maple Leafs team. Like, I don't think any of us would complain about that.
Also, like now we're marketable again, man. Yeah. Like you get a McKenna, guys are gonna probably want to come play here too.
Yeah, ticket prices go up even more.
Back to 2023 Leafs.
Speaking of Connor McDavid though, and with how his season unfortunately went, and how screwed they kind of look right now in terms of like organizational outlook, which is why we put the poll out between who's more screwed, Leafs or Oilers. And clearly it's the Oilers at this moment in time. Not before the draft. I think before the draft lottery, I think the Leafs were more screwed than the Oilers. Yeah. And it's flipped. But if Connor McDavid didn't sign that contract, he could have been licking his chops for July 1st and coming back home with Gavin McKenna getting drafted, playing with Austin Matthews, William Nylander, John Tavares. Like, we could have gone from being, which we absolutely were, the laughing stock, hoping to lose the right amount of games just to have the shot at holding on to a pick, to now we have the pick, not just any pick, the pick, and then Connor McDavid's probably looking in the mirror like, I signed a contract so I didn't have to go through a whole season of nonsense. Still went through a season of nonsense, and we have less clarity as to what's going to happen here in Edmonton, and my deal's kicking in this coming season. Like,
lost to the Ducks, man.
Yeah, like anything,
doesn't get any worse than that.
You can't forecast or know how things are going to go in this game, but if you're Connor McDavid right now, you're definitely punching the air and maybe a hole through a wall, because to come back to the Leafs at this moment in time with what's happening and then play for Matt Sundin as your GM or president of hockey operations, that's like any Toronto kid's dream right now. Like, John Tavares is already living his dream, but now he gets to go to work and work for Matt Sundin too. Like,
almost every Toronto kid's dream. Mitch
almost,
Marner,
yeah. Well, he made his choice, but it is what it is. He's I don't know what it is about, you did your interview with Jay Rosehill, and
clearly you didn't like that, Mitch.
He didn't, but it seems like you manifested it, because the last few games he's been on fire for them, and
yeah, he didn't like that, eh? He's not a big fan, no. No, he's definitely not.
But you know what? They're two.
We love Jay though.
Yeah. Two different kinds of guys. Jay Rosehill, absolutely love you. If we could figure out a way to get you on the show, we would love to make that happen. You or even Nick.
You can swear all you want, Jay.
Yeah, you guys do awesome stuff, and we love watching it. And hopefully, maybe we can figure something out in the future. But the playoffs have been interesting. The last 72 hours have been like mind bending,
lunacy.
Question for you guys. Pipe dream shit, even though it feels like it can't get any more of a pipe dream than winning the draft lottery after the season we just had. If you can land one massive free agent, even though it feels like there's none this summer, who is it? And if you could hire the coach that you would want to coach this new version of this Toronto Maple Leafs team, who would it be?
Alex Tuck.
And who's the coach?
Bruce Cassidy. Best available.
Is Radish a free agent or is he an RFA?
He's a free agent.
He's a free agent. And based on how his press conference went, that did not look very convincing.
I thought he was, so I'm going to go Radish if he's a UFA, because I don't know if he was like RFA'd or what the deal was with him, but you get that on the back end, scoring, and just the way he was playing in Tampa and all the uncertainty there where Hedman unfortunately might take some time off. I think Radish is looking for a way out, cash in, Leafs maybe drop Riley to another team. You just give him the extra cap that's coming in. And then coach, I'm still going to hold out hope there. John Tortorella just gets a quick cup over there, and then after it comes to Toronto.
You know what? I'm going to correct myself, and I'm going to say Evgeny Malkin.
Oh,
you want Gino.
I want Gino.
Wow. So he would be the third line center or second line winger.
You could. I think at this point, you could put Gino with Matty Nyes, and everyone else can go fuck themselves.
So Tavares third line center, Malkin center.
That power play,
Malkin Nyes, and then you could have like Robertson to like have more pace, and then you have Cowan on the third line.
Damn. See, in terms of free agent,
I trust Robertson will resign.
I think he will, but I don't want to.
Now with McKenna, he'll be like, "Oh shit." Okay.
I don't want it to be like 4 or 5 million because dude, and he's gonna want that, but he doesn't.
I mean, the free agents this year, they're like it's an old crop. Like you got Ovi, you got Giroux, you got Malcolm. Like if this was 2010, holy shit, it's unbelievable. Like Zuccarello's a free agent. It's funny because Mantha, I think, had a career year. He's a free agent, but the last month. He was awful.
It's looking like the old Mantha.
It's looking like the old Mantha. So it's like I said, I would love Darren Radish, but he's only done it one season like this. So it's kind of like if you're going to go out there and give him a Brady Shea type deal and he just doesn't pan out, then you're in trouble. So I love Darren Radish. He's from here. I would love for him to be here for $5 million, $6 million. Basically a prove it again deal. Not like I'm going to give you the bag because you did it once with Hedman hurt. Yeah. But I think if we can get another, I know this is funny because we just got McKenna, but if you can get a Tuck or a Malkin, just invigorate a little more intimidation with our offense, I think we're back.
So for me, I would like Scott Laughton to resign, but I want Scott Laughton to not be a fourth liner on this team because when you saw what he was able to do playing up in the lineup in LA, you saw how much of a difference he made. Now, I know the Leafs and the Kings are two very different teams, but I think he could definitely give that to the Leafs in that capacity. So I would like to see Laughton come back because he was an important piece to this team, even though he didn't get the chance to truly prove it with how bad we were. And in terms of coach, I think this guy would be perfect, considering we hired Matt Sundin. Another guy that understands the Leafs market, former Leaf, even though he had a cup of tea with the Leafs, it's Bruce Boudreau. I've been saying it forever. I know he's been out of the league a long time, but he can help fire home that passion and everything else that it means to be a Leaf. And I think that's what this new version or whatever the next generation of Leafs is. That's what they need behind the bench. Kind of like how Matt Sundin's teams had Pat Quinn behind the bench, who was a Leaf. He got it. He understood it. There is something to be said about that. So who knows? Maybe Matt Sundin convinces Darcy Tucker to become a coach and Darcy's the fucking coach of the Leafs. Not saying that's going to happen, but that'd be something.
I think if it's any of those three, it's probably Dougie. That would be the best coach, I think, of the three of them.
That's if you would want to do it.
Yeah, of course. Gilmore is kind of older too. I think he's in his 60s now. But I think he could be a good coach. But all good options. I was just thinking because I've heard a lot of Marner comps with McKenna.
I don't want to soft this baby shit.
Did Mitch Marner ever knock a guy out in a bar
for talking about
his mom? I love a mama's boy, man. I think McKenna, if he can bring, he's got to gain some weight though. He's a twig. But what are your if we do draft McKenna? Does he win Rookie of the Year playing with a Matthews? You'd like to think so.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
You
would like to hope so.
Yeah.
Because the only other player that could win Rookie of the Year, depending on where he ends
Michael
up,
Hage, maybe
maybe Michael Hage. If the Sharks draft Stenberg and he's playing with Celebrini and Will Smith, I mean, at that point, you might as well. Or even
the Ducks and Sharks are in competition with having the youngest forward elite core in the league.
It's actually crazy, and I can't think of, unfortunately, off the top of my head, any of the guys that got drafted this past draft that didn't play this year.
I mean, T.J. Ginla might get an opportunity to win it. Caden Lidstrom, but again, he's had injuries and he's on Columbus.
Does Jet Luchenko qualify for next year? Because he didn't play enough games this year? Because he got recalled, I saw.
Yeah, today. I mean, him, Caleb Denoye for Utah would be a good shout. Even, I mean, it's kind of funny because it is Vancouver, but like a Braden Coots, guys, he was really good for the World Juniors, and Vancouver doesn't have a lot, so he'd get his ice time.
Before we do our picks and our light the lamp, I just got one quick question for you guys. What would it take, like, a team like Calgary, let's say, or a team like Vancouver, even though Vancouver's drafting third. If a team like Calgary really wanted that pick, what would it cost? If Calgary calls John Chayka with Matt Sundin there and we want the first overall pick, this is what we're giving you, yes or no?
Salary dump.
Well, besides that, what do you like? Whoever wants it first, what is that? Yes, we have a deal. What's that consist of?
Fuck, you know what? I'll start it off. I'll be nice and quick with it. I think you have to put Riley in that, the $7+ million. Brandon Carlo might have to be in it too, just to kind of soften the blow. I think Vancouver would have a better offer. Just because, again, there's players there that don't want to be there. The only guy, obviously, that if you're the Leafs, you never trade for is Pettersson at 11 million. Besser would be a really good fit with the Leafs. I think he would be a guy that, he's not an 80-point player that he used to be. I think he can get you 30 goals. He's actually been known to be a good playoff performer when they made it. There's a couple other guys on that team. Like, you can trade for, like, a Zeev Bayum if Vancouver desperately wants the first pick. They might have to give up a Coots, a Zeev Bayum. Like, with Calgary, it's just kind of, like, so wishy-washy. Like, they would probably have to give up Backlund, like, a guy that's been their glue guy for a while, like a Backlund, a Zane Parekh, and maybe the 6th pick for the first, because if you're the Leafs, Zeev Bayum and Zane Parekh are 2D that you are salivating over if you can get a handle on them. And I hate to say it, we don't really need Gavin McKenna all that much. As crazy as we just talked about the last 20 minutes, don't really need Gavin McKenna that much as a young altering defenseman.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I know everyone has a price, but yeah, that's not going to be good enough. So if they're going to call, if I'm Chayka,
price is wrong, bitch.
If I'm Chayka and Sundin and I just got hired to do this job, am I going to just throw my career away and risk a potential disaster? I'm just going to be comfortable, keep it, and see how Nylander and Matthews, how that situation unfolds, because that could be risky. If you're trading to Calgary or Vancouver of all teams, and it doesn't pan out.
They don't have the best.
Yeah, I don't want Matt's legacy to be ruined for Chayka. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
He's been here for longer than the press conference almost. So I would just say Matt Sundin. I don't want the poor guy's legacy to be tarnished by making a move that's gonna put our situation even worse than it is.
Fair.
You know what? That is very fair.
No. And that's the thing. Like, I had to preface it by saying, like, one, is there something that is sweet enough of a deal to make sense for these guys that just got here to look at each other and be like, wait, they're going to give us all this for this?
If Edmonton wants to go and trade McDavid and they say, you know what, the only way we're going to trade him is if you give us a first overall pick, and then on top of all the other add-ons and salary dumps, I would entertain the conversation, but Calgary, Vancouver, I would not. Not those two teams.
I agree, though. I was just playing devil's advocate.
No, yeah.
Just because, again, you got to do a lot of juggling with those teams.
I just think it's interesting because of all the teams that so desperately needed that pick. Those are two of the teams, and they do have some relatively nice assets that the Leafs could desperately enjoy acquiring.
A few.
A few. I think it would be safe to say it would have to be something as like ridiculous as what was the Eric Lindros trade when he didn't want to go play in Quebec and the Flyers had to literally give them the fucking...
McKenna's no Lindros, man.
No, I don't think
It's
he
not
is,
even
but
close.
I don't know if there's a deal that makes sense.
I agree with Aulino.
Unless
you gotta play super hardball here. You might not even entertain any calls. Unless it's Edmonton calling.
If it's Edmonton and it's San Jose and San Jose is saying the guy that almost carried them to the playoffs, which they won't.
No, they'll never trade Celebrini.
But those, like, if you want to give us Celebrini or if you want to give us Connor McDavid, hey, Pittsburgh, do you want to give us Sidney Crosby? And
I wouldn't do that.
No, not Crosby.
I wouldn't do that.
It'd be nice to have Sidney Crosby in a Leaf sweater, but needless to say, it's quite the place to be in. But now it's time to talk about the picks that were in the mix last week, as well as the picks that will be in the mix for this week. But before we get there, actually, I'm going to do you guys want to do the light the lamp first, or do we want to do the picks?
Do the light the lamp first. Let's mix it up.
Yeah. All right. Playoffs are in full swing, and lighting the lamp is getting ever so more important and crucial to you moving on to hopefully hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. Every week, you guys know we do a light the lamp where we take two players from each game that week to hopefully put the puck in the net, and we put them in a two-leg parlay. We get our odds from FanDuel, so we're going to go around the horn right now, and we're going to give you guys our picks at who is going to light the lamp.
Who's starting? I'll go first. Last week, I took Zach Hyman. The guy thought he was a calcio player. Guy kicks the puck in the net. He has a stick.
That was bad.
Right in front of him. When they're down in an elimination game.
Then they got sent home.
Hyman, what were you doing, buddy? Anyways, that one didn't hit. And Mikko Rantanen, I don't know if this guy was playing hurt.
He might have
had a hernia or something, but he was just off the whole series. And it's baffling to me because the guy last year was probably the second best player in the whole playoffs. It was him and McDavid were the top two. So, yeah, went 0-2 in my picks last week. Sorry, guys, but this week, guys, this is it. I have a really good feeling here. I got the Matt Sundin luck, and away we go. So my first pick for tomorrow night's game, as you guys all know, tomorrow night is the tomorrow night is the Carolina-Philly. That's the Thursday nighter. The Minnesota-Colorado, because it's a travel day, that's the Saturday. So I'm actually going to give you guys a pick in both games. On the Thursday, I'm going to start it off, guys. We got to go with the home. We got to go with the home team here. Philly looked really good in the last game, even though they lost. Give me Travis Konechny to score. I believe that's at plus 170, which is amazing value for a guy that, not 170, 270. You're getting really good odds there for a guy that he screams Philadelphia Flyer. He's going to bring that grit. He's going to bring that passion for the home fans. I think he pots one. And my second play in the Colorado mini game on Saturday, this guy's a playoff performer, scores a lot of clutch goals. Give me Arturi Lehkonen, guys, plus 370. That is insane for a high-scoring series. Wow. Parlay that, boys. And you don't have to if you don't want to. Plus 1639 on FanDuel.
Jeez, these odds. It feels like
370 is nuts.
The first round, the odds weren't that juiced. And now the second round, it's like they got loaded up.
Because it's supposed to get tighter, right? But
clearly, but I mean
9-6.
Not necessarily the case at all. That was crazy. Aulino, are you ready for your guys to light the lamp? Give us the rundown.
So last week, I went with the Buffalo guys. They got the job done. I went with Tage Thompson and Alex Tuck, but Thompson didn't get the goal. He got 2 assists. Tuck, though, he scored the goal, so I went 1 for 2 there. And this week, loaded up on this Colorado, Minnesota. I'm trying to take advantage of this because I don't think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think this is going to be another high-scoring one just based on how open the play has been. So I went with Brock Nelson to score. And for Minnesota, I went with Brock Faber. So the two Brocks.
You're missing Brock, aren't you?
Yeah. The beast and the other beast on the fence. Plus 1891 on FanDuel, if you can get that.
Wow, that's crazy. Now, guys, when we do post our picks, we do post them as of the odds of when we made these picks. So they may change when you guys get to see them on Instagram or when you're listening to the podcast when this goes up tomorrow at some point. But needless to say, I'm going to talk about my picks from last week and this week's picks for Light the Lamp. Last week, I went with Leon. Unfortunately, he was not able to get it done. But the guy that did get it done for me last week in a losing effort that they got sent home was Wyatt Johnston. You can't win them all. It's good that we got 1 out of 2. But this week, I really like these guys that I picked. With the way their series have been going, we all think that they're all going to be lower scoring, but not these two series. So my first pick, I went with Nikolai Ehlers against the Philadelphia Flyers, anytime goal at plus 260. And then, of course, we're all piggybacking the barn burner series, which is the Minnesota Wild and Colorado Avalanche. I went with Gabriel Landeskog to score at plus 320. You put them in a 2-leg parlay if you want to. You're looking at plus 1412 on FanDuel. It's getting more important to put the puck in the net. These odds are going up. Better odds at making money. I mean, not really, but we're going to find out if that is the case. And feel free to tail or make any kind of parlay throughout the year with our picks. Now it's time to talk about the picks that were in the mix last week, and we're going to talk about the ones that were in the mix for this week. Then we're going to get out of here. Aulino, we're going to go with you first for the picks that were in the mix. How did you do last week, and how's it going to be looking this week?
So last week wasn't the greatest, I'll say that. So Josh Sargent didn't even play.
Yeah,
so it got voided.
So it got voided.
Okay.
And so the TFC scoreline didn't work in my favor either. Jack Della Maddalena unfortunately got beat up. Our Paisano.
Oh, that was rough.
That one was bad. And Inter Miami took care of business against Orlando. So I went 1 for 4. This week, though, I'm going to turn it around because I got the big boys in this one.
The big boys. You heard it here first. He's got the big boys in this week.
So there's a heavy favorite in the UFC. Hamza Chimaev taking on Sean Strickland. I didn't go with the money line. I went with the submission parlay because I think Strickland and Chimaev are going back and forth. So I think Chimaev is going to try and submit him and choke him out just to prove a point. He's not going to go for a decision. So
they're going to be cuddling all fight is what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Either that or I think he submits him in the first 30 seconds. But they don't like each other is the nicest way to put it. That's minus 105 to start. I'm actually surprised at that number. Then Inter Miami taking on Toronto FC. Inter Miami with Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez on the team is plus 100 on the road in Toronto.
Take that now.
TFC is coming off an embarrassing loss to Ottawa in the CPL.
Yes.
In a Canadian Championship game where one of the Ottawa players got a hat trick.
Yes,
After TFC were winning 1-0, 15 minutes in. Hammer that. Plus 100. I'm not attending this game, so I have no barring on this. I'm not breaking any rules. Hammer Inter Miami. And the last one, Inter Toronto in the CPL, taking on Pacific. They're on the road. Inter Toronto, you pair them up with Julian Altobelli, who's been scoring goals every game for Inter Toronto. That's plus 240. So love the CPL props. You put them all together on Bet365, 12.27.
Wow. Juice.
Let's do it.
I'm doing that plus 100, man.
Yeah.
TFC, they cannot be trusted at all right now.
No, not right now. Chris, what were your picks looking like last week, and how are they going to be looking this week?
So last week I went 2-2. The Jack Della fight, that was just an absolute mauling. Carlos Prates deserves a lot more respect now. But my bet hit in that fight. I needed under 3.5 rounds, and he got knocked out in the 3rd round. So that one hit. The Denver Nuggets at minus 240, they lost. They got eliminated after being a minus 240 favorite. That's the NBA playoffs for you. And also Dallas, plus 105. I thought they would maybe force a Game 7. Unfortunately, they lost that game as well. But again, I'm on fire, boys, with Scotty Scheffler. Anything Scotty Scheffler props, I just hit it. Top 5 finish for Scotty Scheffler in the Cadillac Championship. That one hit at minus 138. So I went 2-2. Not bad. This week, though, like Aulino said, it's time to lock in and bounce back. My first play this week is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Cavs, they did look impressive against the Raptors. Last game against the Pistons, I don't know what happened. They couldn't cover the paint at all. I think it was just a one-off game for Jared Allen. He was in foul trouble adjusting to Jalen Duren. I think this series has to go 7. I think the Cavs split it on the road in Detroit. Give me them on the money line at plus 140. My second play, again, a home dog. Yes, Colorado has looked absolutely insane, but Minnesota has to win this one. They're plus 110. I don't know if you start Jesper Wallstedt at this point. You might have to go to Philip Gustafsson in between the pipes. But, man, like, they've actually been playing so well, Minnesota. I think they're due at home. I think their home crowd's going to give them a boost. I think they win Game 3. That's my second play at plus money. My third play is Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira over 3.5 rounds. Now, it is a scary bet because Josh Van has crazy power for his size. But Taira might a few rounds just wasted on the ground. So I think this one might go the distance. I don't know what the odds are for that, but I do like the over 3.5. I'm going to basically go opposite of last week. So let's see if I go 2-2 on that. And then my final play is Sean Brady to beat Joaquin Buckley. Sean Brady, as we all know, has been on a bit of a slump. He lost to Morales. He got his ass kicked by Morales. But, man, let's be honest. The height difference was freaking astronomical. Giant. So I think Sean Brady is smart enough to kind of get back into, his winning ways. Buckley, I think, is a little bit. I think he's going to He's going to embrace the moment, taking on Sean Brady, a 6th rank. But I think Sean Brady at this number at minus 170, I think it's pretty good for Sean Brady. So I think the hammer parlay of this week for our picks is Sean Brady moneyline and Inter Miami moneyline. You take that, that's probably like plus 250. We're doing you guys a favor here.
Well, don't you worry. I got some stuff to add to that. We're going to put one together.
So that, if you put all 4 of those in a parlay, that's plus 1396.
Leading the way.
Bringing that pulp, boys.
Juice. Last week was not a good week. I went 0 for 4.
Oh.
Yeah. And you know what? In all honesty, looking back on these picks, it's... Your boy decided, or he thought, that the Celtics were going to beat the 76ers. Did not happen on the money line.
You took the Penguins?
No, I took the Oilers on the money line. That did not happen. I took the Nuggets on the spread at minus 5.5. Did not happen. I also took Jason Robertson to score anytime goal. That did not happen. So this week, we're spicing it up. And we're not going balls to the walls, but we're going a little different here. We still got juice.
Slump buster.
No, it's juice, but for me, it's considered a slump buster.
Are we talking like juicy fruit juice?
No, more like an underwhelming fruit gusher, I would say. Underwhelming
okay.
fruit
All right,
fruit gusher.
I'll take that.
Starting off, we're going to start with the favorites and work our way down to the dog. We got a little bit of variety this week. The first leg, we're going with the Carolina Hurricanes on the money line against Philly at minus 165. I know they're up 2-0. Philly at home, they have to win, but Carolina they look dialed, man. They might do it this year.
They're a wagon.
Like, honest wagon. Next, we're going to golf. We're going to the PGA. We're going to the Truist Championship. I'm taking Tommy Fleetwood for a top 20 finish at minus 143. After that, we're going to baseball, going to the Diamond. And speaking of the Diamond, we're dealing with the Arizona Diamondbacks on the money line against the Pittsburgh Pirates at minus 105. Diamondbacks are at home for that game. And last but not least, we're going to the Avalanche and Wild series, where I'm taking the over 6.5 game total on Game 3 at plus 105. You put these 4 together in a 4-leg parlay on Bet365, which they do currently have a 30% profit boost, which you could add to this if you do it, entail. But without it, you're looking at plus 992. So needless to say, comparable to my odds of the past, this would be considered a slump buster, as crazy as that sounds. Needless to say, guys, we got plenty of variety and plenty of great looks and odds for you guys to tail, pick and poke and pry, and make one of your own for this week, whether it's the light the lamp or our picks that are in the mix. If you guys listened all the way to the end, we truly appreciate it. We hope you guys click the link in our bio, follow us on Instagram, check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else you guys get your podcasts. And until next week, peace.